Hold up, did you not just make a video that art is a scam? Yes, and I stand by my claim. However, that vid ended on an encouraging note, so if you haven't watched it, I really think you should. Here, I continue where I left off there, to day by day improve my ability to authentically produce art for my soul in the truest sense of the word. So join me, if you please. Hey guys, to the regulars here, welcome back fellas, and to those of you who may be new here, I hope you enjoy your stay. If you've watched my New Year, New Me vid in its entirety, then you'll be aware of my inspiration to do this challenge, the way I'll be doing it, and the rules I've set out for myself. To briefly restate all that, I was inspired by the one and only PewDiePie to try this for myself, and I did try it 3 different times last year. I never got beyond day 10 due to a combination of artist block, after a while having a number of other responsibilities, and just not being the best at keeping streaks going on for a long time. I mean, I'm surprised the Duolingo owl hasn't come for me yet. So to keep up that discipline and give myself a reason to be, I've decided to make a video series broken up into 6 parts. Part 1 is this one, days 1 to 30, where I'm relearning the basics, some of which in ways I've never properly done before. Part 2, days 31 to 100, will be me trying out more moderate level drawings, with different weekly themes for those 10 weeks. Parts 3, 4, and 5, and 6 will be based on the different seasons, beginning with spring and ending with winter. But part 5 for autumn will not include anything I do in October, since my chosen topic for Inktober is different from the seasonal theme of autumn. If you're not an IG user and you'd still like to see what drawings I put out in October, don't worry. It's going to be included in the 7th video, the season finale of the series, my 365-day drawing challenge recap vid, which, if all works out to plan, I'll plan to have it out on the last day of 2025. Each of the daily drawings, however, will be uploaded in real time on my Instagram profile at 𝐿𝐼𝐕𝐷𝑎𝑟𝑡s, formerly at 𝐿𝐼𝐕𝐷𝑎𝑟𝑡s. To prevent artist block, though not complete, I've given myself well ahead of time a list of prompts for each day, while making them vague enough for me to decide on the day how I'll execute the prompts. Though with that said, the 2 main rules I've set for myself is that while this is a 365-day drawing challenge, I will not be beginning and ending every drawing on the same day. That's because 1, that's impractical for how busy my life can be at times, and 2, different skills like different parts of a plant aren't developed in isolation. So if I can use a build on a basic skill I practice on day 17 to slowly create something finished on day 200, then as long as I begin the artwork in 2025, I believe it's fair game. So, although not every work posted on a day would have been started the same day, I believe it will be disingenuous for me to finish it a month earlier and post it on a day where I'm not feeling like creating anything else. So, if I have a day 150 artwork, I would have finished it on day 150. With all that out of the way, I guess here's where I actually start with my actual artworks. For days 1 to 30, I decided to split each category of prompts into 5 days each for 6 kinds of prompts. The first 5 days were a bunch of Chibi expressions. I chose this not only because they're relatively simple to draw out, but also because this was where I actually started out with my drawing style journey. Though I don't know if I particularly found one I like yet, even traditionally. This was where I started out. I mean, aside from the random things and pieces of inspiration that kids draw, the first art style I consciously remember trying to learn was the Chibi art style. So I thought it would mean a lot for me personally to begin the rebirth of my art journey with where I had originally started out the first time around as a child. So for day 1, first one was basic, a happy Chibi me, because I wanted to come into the new year happy, and also low-key because I thought at first I may use this as a still image in future vids. Probably not, but still like to make. Day 2 is by far my favorite of the Chibi drawings. And oh shoot, okay. Now that I'm thinking about this, I've heard people say Chibi. I think that's how I grew up saying it. I've heard people say Chibi. I'll try to say Chibi, but forgive me if I go back to saying Chibi because I'm used to saying it in my mind and the way that I grew up. But if it is actually Chibi, I haven't looked at it, then I will try to respect the pronunciation, because I'm one of those people also who does not like, or like, it gets to me after a while if someone pronounces manga as manga, as if they're saying mango. But you know, that's a whole different side tangent. Anyways, day 2, definitely by far my most favorite among the Chibi drawings. Though I'm pretty sure it's as much because 𝐂𝐴𝐕 from 𝒟𝒃 is one of my favorite anime characters, as it is because of how the Chibi drawing turned out. This was also the first time I actually realized 𝐂𝐴𝐕 has more of a salmon/light tangerine hair color. I always thought that it was light shades of pink for some reason. But all in all, I'm loving this drawing. The third day was an angry Chibi of 𝒂𝐫𝐚𝐿 from Toradora, because yeah, she's iconic for her tsundere nature, or for you non-otakus, an individual who is initially harsh but gradually shows more of their warmer side to those they trust or care about. For how this turned out, I feel like this drawing took me an unreasonable amount of time. Like, I think I spent 2 or 3 hours on it, when usually I spend up to half that amount of time on a Chibi that I feel looks way better. Great anime though. For day 4, I had to go with Megumi Tadokoro because I feel like she's the iconic fearful person who goes through a lot to overcome their near crippling anxiety to... Well, I can't say much because that'll be spoilers. But yeah, I rate her as a personality, and she definitely fit the bill for this. In terms of the drawing, I was asking myself why I signed myself up for this when it came to coloring the skirt. But honestly, I think that's what was the most satisfying part of this, figuring out how I'd make that pattern, and I made the anime come to life in my own way. At least for me, it feels like that. Out of all these Chibi drawings, I'd say I'd be most comfortable with how days 2 and 4 came out to make merch out of them. Though I'm not saying I will, but if I were to, those will be some of the top contenders so far. And for day 5, Miyamura, I apologize. This is the second time I've done you dirty. This time, I've made Chibi I've made you look like a country ball. Next time has to be better. And I assure you, Miyamura, it will be better. The next 5 days, I focused on eyes. Admittedly, I'm not sure how much there is even to say for these. I know when I wrote down the prompts for eyes, I was thinking of something more sophisticated, but they were just eyes. I think in execution, I went for a simpler route, especially compared to the first time I actually digitally drew an eye back in July of 2020, and also because it was a bit of a struggle for me, at least to find references that had enough of what I was looking for as a basis. Honestly though, that does sound like an excuse, and it feels like one to me. Maybe I shouldn't even say that I focused on eyes, because if I had focused, I would have done more. It also didn't help that, as minimalistic as they were in terms of effort, the ones with least effort did better as reels than the ones with more effort and detail. So I don't know how to feel about that. But on the other hand, the amount of views I get for reels has never been my motivation for how well I do as an artist. Hasn't been since I was a child. It ain't gonna start now. But still, in general, honestly, they're meh. I could definitely help myself by trying things with more details in the future and making 2020 me proud to have started this journey. The theme for the next set of days 11 through to 15, were faces. And for day 11, here I wanted to relearn the basics of how to draw an anime-styled face, and wow. Wow. I did not realize how bad I was at it. Like the actual first time I tried this in 2012, it turned out a lot better. Which, wow, that was 13 years ago. That's crazy. It's crazy to think that some of the teens right now might have not even been alive back then. Dang, I feel old. But back to the topic. Still, I'm starting from somewhere, and maybe I'll look at this with the same kind of nostalgia with how I look at my first anime and even chibi drawings back in 2012 and even earlier. For day 12, this one was actually okay, at least for my soul. That's because, as you see in the time-lapse, even though it still turned out more meh than I would have liked, I did keep trying to get better and better iterations of this drawing, and ultimately finished it once it was a few minutes to midnight. By the time I finished posting this on Instagram, I was exhausted, so much so to the point I just went to sleep. I think if I were to add anything, I would have put this stream of tears also flowing down her hands as well. Flowing down from the only thing supporting her to invoke a sense of the depths of her sorrow. But it was cool. An improvement, I think, from day 11. For day 13. Absolute worst. What more should I say? Absolute worst. At least that's what I thought at first. To put it out there, leave it at that, and move on quickly. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, how this turned out is nothing short of embarrassing. Like, if I was Japanese, my next 7 generations will also be apologizing for this atrocious thing. That's how I really feel about it. And yet, thinking about it, it also makes me happy. Because in this process, I tried something new. I realized I'm not entirely used to or comfortable entirely with 3/4 perspective drawings quite yet, especially digitally. And I tried to do this from scratch with little more than basic references on how the head should be, only for me to decide midway that the hair should be more like a female's after the head was more male-like. Yeah, that messed me up for real. But as terrible as this honestly came out, especially knowing I've drawn much better, even digitally, this was encouraging to me to know that I'm down to try different things, get past the embarrassment of flopping them at first, and become masters of them later, because we all gotta learn everything we know at some point. And I can be sure I won't know how to do this if I don't try. Okay, so for days 14 and 15, I switched the days for the prompts because I saw this animator YouTuber I wanted to make fan art for, Soul Knight, and I thought a shocked face would go better than an afraid face. Then, after I finished day 14's drawing, I just decided to use one more prompt to draw art for her. And I decided to switch day 15's prompt from an afraid face to a nervous face, which both have an element of fear, but I think nervous is a more mild degree of that emotion, and it kind of also suits what I've seen of her personality so far. Also, for day 15, this was my first time substituting black line art for red for the skin, and I went with a dark purple for the hair and sweater. I'm still not sure, to be honest, why artists use red line art instead of other colors, but it definitely felt cool. If you've got any clue as an artist, leave it down in the comments below because I will really love to learn why people do this. After the atrocity I made for day 13's prompt, and the decline of effort that went into these since like day 4, which I think was the last good day, these felt like a refreshing oasis in a desert. A stream of inspiration flowing to relieve a drought of creativity. A warm sun, reprieving me from the harshness of a cold winter. I know I told myself I will not make such an atrocity again, but I think the quality also went from 0 to 100 because I decided to make art for someone else, and so I wanted to absolutely put my best into it. I also think of how personally that I didn't make a time-lapse for these, so I wasn't nervous about making the time-lapse and the process look pretty or decent as well, or something like that. So I think that also gave me some mental space of mind to figure things out the way I best needed to. Okay, for the next section, I get to flex what I've learned from anatomy and physiology classes. So I'll be using those terms to express what positions the hands are. But don't worry, that's only for days 16 and 17, and you'll still be able to tell what they mean. If this vid becomes the reason someone remembers these anatomy terms, I'd actually be honored. Anywho, for day 16, I had the hands in a supine and prone position. In the case of the hand supine being the palm, and the prone position being the backhand. It took me 3 tries to get the supine hand decent. But then, the 3rd time truly was the charm, and once I got the hang of it, I really thought I made like a pun there, during one of the takes. I thought I said, and once I got the hand of it, it was great, but you don't say hand, you say hang. But anyways, that's my own random side tangent. For day 17, the hands being in a flexion and extension pose, I decided to time-lapse this because another kind Instagram artist decided to message me some advice in the comments section of one of their reels, and so I tried to visualize the hand using shapes, and considering that it's hands which is my weakest point in drawing, whether I have a solid reference or not, it's still my weakest point. I actually think these turned out great. I actually think I like drawing hands with shapes more than just looking off of references. It goes without saying, though, that my technique could use more practice, but I like how this is going. For day 18, the forward-facing fist, I've actually drawn this one before, back in 2020. You can probably guess because of
He's here now firing tear gas into the crowd.
stuff. And really, okay, actually it wasn't only that. If I remember correctly, at first I did come across a step-by-step guide on how to draw it back then. So I wanted to draw it. Then I decided why not make it in a different skin tones side by side to get back to one of the key points of Dr. King's work that I think a lot of people on both sides of the social debate have been missing out. That the dream was to have people of all colors stand with each other and live with each other without taking color into consideration, which came from my personal unease with some people in the Black community trying to elevate Black people above everyone else in response to the George Floyd incident without explicitly saying it. And to preface this, if you can't tell from my avatar, yes, I am a person of African heritage as well. I don't want this to get too political, although I've already low-key opened the floodgates. Do find politics interesting, I'm not gonna lie. But that's not why y'all came here. That's not why you or I are here in this vid. But I am just saying, we do all bleed the same. We all bleed the same blood. And I believe we're all made and endowed by the same creator with certain inalienable rights. Among them are the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So elevating one color of people above the other, regardless of who is being elevated, is still wrong. And a rising tide floats all boats, which I'm saying this again as a person of African heritage as well. I do separate this from social banter between friends. Friends are friends, they know what each other's bounds are. But in the general social discourse of things, like, we're all created equal, we all bleed the same. So yeah, I appreciate all of you equally. Whether 100,000 people know you, or you feel like you're known by no one, I appreciate all of you, and all the more, I believe in a creator which loves you more than any could ever. Speaking of love, days 19 and 20 have to do with love. They're actually hands drawn to form hearts in different ways. Day 19 is solo heart fingers, and day 20 is for two people forming half hearts to make one complete heart with their hands. I will admit that while I made a time lapse of day 19 because I tried using shapes, I just traced one side from an anime character doing that pose, and then duplicated and flipped the image to make it complete. For the second to last prompt, I drew a pair of drawings for each day, a male torso and a female torso, since it goes without saying that they are structurally different. I actually wanted to do male and female pairs for chibi drawings, but when the new year actually rolled around, I was so happy to be able to start the challenge and actually start practicing other skills I may be lacking on that I just straight up forgot I had even wanted to draw both male and female chibis for each day. That I think turned out for the better because I barely gave myself time to complete some of them anyways. So maybe it's best that I forgot. Before I do put up the set of drawings, perhaps I should put out a warning because there may be some who may be triggered or just uncomfortable with these kinds of drawings. But because these are anatomical drawings, they'll look like drawings you'll see in a human anatomy textbook with more human body and less artificial clothing. For the artists or biologists among us, this is probably a normal thing to encounter. To understand anatomy is to understand a core part of those disciplines, but for others of you, not to trivialize what you may find uncomfortable or not. The warning is there, so if you like, skip to the time written on the screen. Okay, with that said, day 21 was the frontal view of the torso. I like how the upper torso came out for the male, but looking at it, I don't know how much I like the left lumbar region. Like, not the hip area, but the area right above it, immediately lateral to the left of the belly button. Yes, I think that someone whose skin isn't at least thick enough to at least roll a bit is probably not having like healthy amounts of material to keep you insulated properly. Though, don't take that from me. Ask an actual medical professional, maybe like Maz. But my issue is that I don't know how much I like the way the belly rolls. Like in terms of, are the lines anatomically accurate? Or were they a mess because I didn't give myself much time for day 21? For the frontal female torso, the opposite is true, where I'm fine with the lower portion of it, but I'm pretty sure I misdrew the clavicle or the collarbone, which is supposed to connect a joint at the base of the neck to the shoulder blade, the scapula. Maybe I just don't understand yet that the base of the neck is in fact lower than the shoulders when the arms are raised as they are here in this drawing. But it does still feel off, especially the left armpit. Have things to be desired. It's not harmonious, but the right is okay. Not extraordinary, just okay. I should also note that there were no time lapses on these because, to be transparent, these ones were traces from various sketches of anatomical diagrams from a mannequin with some anatomical details in one case, or from actual people modeling for different perspective views of anatomy. With digital art especially, it's so easy to put an image and add another layer on top of that, and then trace it as much as I need to. But I definitely like to learn how to reference what I need from other objects or artworks on site and create my own spin to them, or learn better how to do this accurately just from basic shapes. For day 22, I drew both the male and the female torso from a side view, and in this case, I'm all good with the female one, but the male one is like, wow, who let Arnold Schwarzenegger into the room? I'm a guy and I asked the question, are men supposed to have big backs like that? There may be someone in the world like that, but probably some people. But this also feels like something stemmed from a personal skill issue I just gotta still work on. day 23 is one of the rare ones where I actually had no complaints. I liked how the 3/4 views for both the male and the female model turned out. I don't even have much to say about them. I just liked how they turned out. For day 24's high angle perspective of the torso, the line art on the hips on the male are a bit off, and I think there may be too many lines on the upper abdomen. For the female sketch, the armpit lines seem to be an extra and unnecessary detail. It feels like it's both missing something, but also got too much of something as well. Like, I shall choose to either be more detailed and precise or decide to take it out, but all in all, they're chill drawings. For day 25, I almost feel about these low angle torso drawings the same way I feel for day 23's 3/4 drawings. I almost have no qualms with them, but I looked at the left side along the male abdomen, and some of those lines seem not to go to the places they're supposed to all go to, but they're still pretty good all in all. And for the last set of prompts, the lower body, or basically the legs and like the hips. I actually don't have much to say about them, except maybe I should give a warning. Never would I have imagined that this warning would be necessary, but if you are triggered in one way or another by seeing feet or even drawings or outlines of feet, first, seek a minister or a clergyman's help. And two, I appreciate you watching as much of this video as you have, since this is the last category before the outro and end card. You can jump to this time on the screen to skip all the drawings with feet. But yes, thank you for your support thus far. Like, okay, seriously though, this is not to disparage you if that's genuinely a trigger point for you in one way or another. Thanks again for the support, and to show my appreciation, here is a warning. So please, go in peace, whether that's to the timestamp on the screen or on another video or on your way with life. Thank you again. May the Lord be with you, but also may the Lord be with us all, because really, we humans need it. All of us. Okay, now to actually talk about the drawings. There isn't really much notable to talk about here. Like, they're not extraordinary, but they're also not meh. I just enjoy practicing these poses, and hey, this might not be all of y'all's thing, but I thought it would be good to end off with day 30 as the lower body in a kneeling position, to thank the Lord for helping me to muster the energy, the strength, the devotion to keep doing this regardless of whether I thought the drawing was dreary or great. Not only that, but it just puts things in perspective for me. Like, I do believe that there are people with good intentions from different walks of life. And for me, this is just a thing. Well, it's way more than a thing, but for me, it's what keeps me in perspective. And I just hope that whatever happens, whatever comes out of this, that I can just look back and even look forward and look up and all around me and thank the Lord, the heavens, for keeping me rooted, keeping me in perspective, and for keeping the faith. So yeah, I had to end day 30 like that. And hopefully the next, how many days? The next 300 and bruh. And hopefully the next 335 days turns out pretty well as well. Okay, so as a recap for the drawings of the first 30 days, which I can't believe that it's already 30 days through, I want to see what my favorite of the 6 types of prompts are. And you already know some of them. For the Chibi prompt, 𝒿𝖎𝖊𝖘𝐿 Chibi from Oragaru is definitely my favorite by far. For the eyes, they were generally meh, but the sad eyes had the most emotion and they were the most thought out of all of them for me. For the faces, you already know days 14 and 15, the fan arts for Soul Night, are the ones which got my heart feeling all doki doki. Ray, why did you even say that? Don't even ask. Anyways, the vids of hers, I've watched our vibe, and she's really chill and sweet to talk with as well. So what can I say? Much love to you if you happen to see this Soul Night. I appreciate you. For the hands, it's gotta be day 16, supine and prone hands. And for the second to last prompt, the torso, I actually don't have a favorite. Not because I don't like them, but because I actually generally like all of them. There isn't one I like more than the other, but yeah, they're all great. For the last set of prompts, the lower body, I will feel the same as with the torso prompts, except for the fact that I drew the last day, the one kneeling, that just puts everything in perspective for me, as I already said. So that has to be my favorite thus far. And hey, I ain't saying I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I have it all together, which is exactly why that's my favorite. Because I know I have faith in something where no matter who I am or what I am, I can always get back to that and just have someone who's there and bring me back to perspective. So those are my favorites for each of the 6 prompts of the month. Again, part 2 of this year-long art challenge, days 31 to 100, she'll be up on the 11th of April. But if for some reason you're actually interested in this channel, lols, there's still going to be more content being put up periodically between now and then. My goal is to have long-form uploads be put up throughout the year, at least once every 2 or 3 weeks. And I do have at least 2 ideas of vids I'll be uploading between now and April. So for now, between now and part 2 of the 365-day challenge, art challenge, expect no less than 2 uploads, one in February, one in March. But if any of you are actually avid fans, which that feels weird to say or think of because I'm not used to it, but I really appreciate the support, expect no more than 3 uploads, since that'll be the most I could handle between now and then on this channel, since I also just got life stuff to do. Unless some extraordinary idea that I just couldn't resist waiting to make, which probably isn't going to happen, comes up. I'm definitely so excited though for the next 70 days of this challenge. I have been waiting to get to do these prompts, and I hope you enjoy tagging along on this journey. If you've got any feedback on art tips or tricks on how to make this content of mine more engaging, or constructive criticism on something else, feel free to hit me up in the comments below. or wherever you can reach me. And if you'd like to keep tagging along on this journey, hit the subscribe button down below. It will mean a lot to me if you subscribe. And hit the notification bell to know when new content drops. Thank y'alls. I wish y'all the best, and God bless. Sayonara.